Good morning, people. Let me get these random comments out the way first. I just want to give a shout out to all the morning people. Y'all irritate me. You know, I literally have no idea how you get up in the morning and just are so chipper and just happy for just really unnecessary reasons. And really, you know what? Shout out to my boss, right? Because he just fits this description so perfectly. Just happy. Just real happy, right? It's craziness. Needless to say, I'm not a morning person, right? If you've seen any of my videos, by now you realize that I'm far from a morning person. And I don't know if my boss watches these videos, but if he does, let's just say if this video disappears tomorrow, just never happened. Okay. Because I'm going to need my job. All right, so this video is about being controlling and rigid, right? Fun topic. And this morning, I really want to go a little deeper than what I usually go on these videos. So I want you to grab a piece of paper, a pen, use your phone, whatever you do to take notes, because I'm going to ask you to do a couple things, right? So, and I'm also probably going to do this video in 2 parts because I want to make sure that I go at least semi-deep. And I like to keep my videos, you know, under 10 minutes, right? Because we live in a world where everybody has an 8-second attention span. So, whatever. Where do I want to start? Let me just start by saying I'm super controlling and rigid, right? Like most of my videos, I focus on the things that I go through and the things that I've overcome and the things that I see as problems, not only with myself, but also with the clients that I serve. And so I just know that being controlling and rigid, first of all, I like things to be a certain way. I like them to go the way that I plan them to go. I don't like to deviate from that. And really, it has everything to do with not liking change, right? Like, I'm a person who does not like change, at least when it's not change that I initiated and have full control over, right? And that's the problem. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this video talking about the problem with being controlling, maybe the cause of being controlling, and then maybe later on today or in tomorrow's video, I'll talk a little bit about how to move through being controlling and how to get to the other side, right? So when I first start thinking about controlling behavior, I think of the biggest problems that I see, right? So when I think about controlling behavior, I think about how much it causes us to not be present, right? It causes us to miss the things that are right in front of us, right? Because when I'm attempting to have things go the way that I plan them to go, or it causes me to miss what's right in front of me because I'm so focused on how I want it to be, and I'm so focused on how I think it should be that I miss what it really is. And that's pretty important. Like, you got to have one foot that's grounded in reality. And so I just notice how much people's controlling behavior causes them to miss the things that are staring right in front of them, right? It causes us not to be present. The other thing that I think about is how much it causes us to lose our peace. Because let's face it, when we're talking about being controlling, 9 times out of 10, it has something to do with another person, right? So the thing is, we can't control other people, right? Like, I know it's some kind of weird phenomenon, but we can't, right? And many times when I think about the things that we are trying to control, it has something to do with other people. And when we're trying to control things that are outside of our control, there's always going to be frustration. There's always going to be this lack of peace. And so the problem that I see with being controlling and rigid is that you lose the ability to enjoy the process. You lose the ability to enjoy change, because change is inevitable. It's going to happen all the time. And so we should try to enjoy it as much as we can, right? And so when I think about myself, I just think about how much when something is changing that I don't like, I'm moody, I got an attitude, I'm resistant, right? And so I just want us to be mindful of the impact of being controlling and rigid. And then when I start thinking about where it comes from, right? So the first thing I think about is the fact that being controlling and rigid is always or mostly connected about grasping for something that you didn't get typically in childhood, right? So when you think about the unmet needs or the desires that you really wanted, controlling behavior typically is about trying to gain control over areas that you did not have because you didn't have control before. So, for example, when I think about my own life, I think about the fact that I didn't have a lot of stability in my childhood, right? And I just want to throw this in that you have to be careful not to compare yourself to other people because in some ways my childhood was pretty stable, right? So it started off pretty rocky first couple of years, but then my aunt rather, took me in. And from that point forward, my life began to be a lot more physically stable, in terms of having a place to live and all of those kinds of things. But the problem is that while it was physically stable, it was not emotionally stable because the thing that I longed for or wanted the most was really love, right? That unconditional love, knowing that no matter what I did, you would still hold me in high regard, that you would still love me. And what I knew was that, well, the physical aspect was there, right? So there was lots of physical stability, but there was not nearly as much emotional stability. And so we have to focus on or think through the things that we longed for that we did not get because it stems from that. The other thing that is connected to is fear, right? Usually it's fear of failure or fear of rejection or fear of how other people are going to think of us. But fear is in there. So I want you to think through those, right? I want you to think about the areas that you're controlling. I want you to think about the unmet needs or the longings that you had in childhood. And I also want you to think through the fears that are connected to your controlling behaviors. Because I can see it in every area of my life, right? I can see my parenting, my business relationships, my dating, all of those kinds of things. And the thing is, some things that served us well in childhood will not serve us well in adulthood, right? There's some lessons we learned that we need to discard. So those are my thoughts. Be back later. Peace.